Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's Fateless podcast episode. Joining me, we've got a couple staff members here, Simon, Sham, founders actually. And then we've also got a very special guest here joining us today in Jerry, making a first appearance here on the
Go.
Fateless YouTube channel. So I'll pass it to you, Jerry, if you want to just kind of introduce yourself and let people know kind of what you're helping with at Fateless and all that good stuff.
Love it. Love it. Staff members. Yes.
I talked about this. I'm the janitor. I'm just the janitor.
Jerry O'Flaherty. I came in, well, shit, this is a year ago to help with the CG trailer. Just kind of helping guide that from behind the scenes. And then joined to do cameras. And now I keep saying yes to other things. Or more likely, I volunteer and don't say no. So things just keep adding. But yeah, touching a lot of stuff. Trying to make something that's already pretty awesome even more awesome. That's what I'm doing at Godforge. I've been in the game industry for 30 plus years. I worked at pretty much a lot of the top places, Electronic Arts, Epic, Riot. My time in VFX at Digital Domain and some of the other companies like that, Warner Brothers. I've been around doing a lot of mixture of game and film and VFX, music videos, promos, commercials, full-on studio art direction for games, a little bit of everything. Cameras are definitely my love. It's what I fucking zen out to. So I love getting to do that and then getting my hands dirty in a couple other places too.
It's too cool, man. This is one of these podcasts where you just like, I don't even know where to start because what you've done is actually so cool. I will start though with our first introduction to you, Jerry, because we were literally at GDC. Sham was talking to someone that he really respects and has basically been a mentor to him, Mark. And he was saying, do you know anyone who could help us with cinematic work? As well, you need to speak to Jerry. And then Mark turns to me and just goes, well, pitch me the cinematic. So on the spot, I'm like, right, I'm pitching.
It's this. Yeah.
And he goes, I'll just give him a call right now. And then he hands the phone to Sham and he's like, just chat to Jerry and see if Jerry can help you out. And I don't know, man, it's just like 24 hours later, we're on a call. I feel like we really hit it off. And I don't know, I think doing the cinematic, just watching you cook, obviously alongside Mike and the guys, was one of the best experiences I've ever had. Certainly going through the whole sort of building of Godforge and everything. It's just been awesome. So yeah, really, really sort of fun intro. But I guess from your point of view, we're a new studio that's just popping up. Why are you even talking to us? What's you thinking?
First of all, I always answer a call from Mark. Mark is an amazing person. And what I love about him is he is so energetic and excited about what other people are doing. You want somebody to give you the best freaking intro ever, just have Mark do your intro for you. And it's like, is that me?
Yeah. We're talking about me, right?
Yeah. No, when I picked up the phone, first of all, it's coming from Mark. So hell yes. And then I think this is the reason that I'm still here after a year and a half and excited to be here is you guys. Like from the jump, you guys have an infectious way about you. You come at this from such a joyous place, such a fresh, everything is new, but not in a naive way. Like it's just there's a great mixture here. And I think there's I want to work with people who are cool and who I like and who have great attitudes. And then there's the actual kind of more calculated part, which is you guys have already figured out a thing that the rest of the industry is constantly trying to figure out, which is how to build community in an authentic way. Like it's one of the things that Riot prided itself on forever, which is you build a community, you build that trust. Stripping away trust or betraying trust is really easy to do if you make stupid decisions. But if you're really careful about it and you understand that we're all growing this thing together, you're listening, but you're being authentic to who you are, like that relationship is so incredible. So a lot of big corporations come at it from well, you made the game, now we need to build the community. And it's like this weird transactional forced, but you just put money on it. Yeah, we'll make it happen. you guys did it in such a great, authentic, organic way. You were already the fans of a genre. Then you were like, well, let's go build a game in the genre. Holy shit, we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Now we kind of know what we're doing. Let's add the right people. And the people that you've added, like every single person I met has a similar kind of, I don't want to say scrappy because I can describe myself as scrappy. I've worked on huge freaking things, but I like getting my hands dirty and getting in there. And I think that mixture of people who have experience, who just have straight up enthusiasm. Dirk is like a great example of this. Like,
Yeah.
and just learned really quickly. And I feel like even going through the trailer, that was you guys. It was like, we only had to kind of talk about it once and you guys were like, got it. Oh, that's that thing. It was like you didn't have to have done it before. And Ira Glass, Rick Rubin, they all talk about craft is the thing that you use to get to a place, but taste is the thing that you're trying to get to. You already know where you want to get to, and the craft is just the thing, the medium's way of getting to that thing. And I feel like that's the attractor for me is you guys you know where you want to get to. And so now it's just making the right choices to get you there. And we're all going to stumble. You're going to go, that wasn't the right way. But you still know where you want to get to. And I think that's the key. People who are data driven or after something that they just think other people want, then you don't know what you're actually after. You're just chasing. And that is never a place to come from.
It's funny because I feel like what's special about you, Jerry, is that you have both of those elements. So you not only can have, like you're not only willing to do the work, but you can do the work, and that's why you kind of become that person. It seems like where we're like, oh, we've got this really cool thing we want to do, and you're like, I can do that.
Yeah, I think what's been quite funny though,
I'll do that.
obviously you've worked in these huge studios. Like you say, you worked a lot in film. I've worked on huge IPs, honestly. And then, we're trying to create a game which will run and look fucking awesome on mobile. And it's almost like we're throwing you a new challenge. Well, maybe it's not a new challenge, but we're kind of like bringing you back to your roots, maybe in some of the challenges you had many years ago, where it's like, this is how many polys we've got to work with in this scene. We know the visual quality we want to hit. And we were chatting actually before we went live with this. And I've been seeing this build over the last 2.5 years, and it's been like, okay, we're getting the model into a good level. They're starting to come through, but when I see it in games, it doesn't really hit like I want it to hit. And people are saying to me, don't worry, the models are good. The polish will come later. And honestly, I think so. We started to see some of that polish, but then you stepped in and really started to push what our lighting can do, what the cameras can actually, how much that can impact, what the shaders can do. And then suddenly we see some of our visual quality of our heroes just really pop off the screen, and they really like complement the backgrounds and the environments that they're in. And I showed a video, actually, I was just talking, I showed a video, at this point it'd be like last week, where we got 3 of our environments that have now kind of moved into that polish phase. I guess it'd be interesting just from your point of view, what's your biggest challenges when you're starting to do that type of work for us in our environment, with our budgets, with our time, that type of stuff?
Yeah, so cameras are cameras. Cameras are a keyframe. That's the easy stuff. So when I first joined, it was like, you just give me a keyframing tool and I can go make cameras do lots of fun stuff. Camera editorial, those are pretty straightforward for me. Like I know that it's not like keyframing cameras is its own thing. I see people out there all the time talking about how to do it. Making something look good in Unity 100% takes me back. I was describing to a good game dev friend the other day. I was like, it reminds me of mid 2000s where, we were, Unreal Championship 2, it was an Xbox. It was one of the last Xbox games. We didn't even have normal maps, but everyone else was shipping with normal maps. And it was like just basically across the hall, we're developing Unreal Engine 3, and here I'm using Unreal Engine 2 with no normal maps. And you're just like, how the hell do you make this look good? But it's that was almost in a weird way the last time I developed in that way, which was, I know where I want to get to. I know what good looks like. How the hell do I cheat to get there? Yeah. And that was game development forever was, how do you cheat with what you have with this limited fucking palette to get where you want to get to? And I was telling you, Simon, that on Unreal Championship 2, deathmatch games were traditionally you're boxed in. You want clear borders where you can't go beyond it. It's part of the genre. And we wanted to do something where we broke it. I hate that sense of kind of confinement and containment. So we put holographic borders up and built skyboxes. So you could be having a death match on the top of a pyramid. And obviously there's, you can fall to your death, but every single arena, we built these amazing, it wasn't easy. We literally had an artist probably for a year doing nothing but building skyboxes.
Wow.
So
Oh, wow.
it was a huge lift, but it was pre-rendered, awesome, millions of polys. It was kind of film style for your skybox. But it was one of those things. And this is so when I came to the hero roster screens, it's like super limited budget. It totally reminded me of that. I was like, oh my God, here we are. I've got 250,000 polys. Like, I don't remember, especially with Unreal Engine, the last time I ever had to talk about polygons.
Yeah.
A character is 100,000 polys. Why would I, so approaching it from first of all, move all the detail up close to the camera, because it's about the hero, but you want to ground the hero in textural details that are of a similar density, right? So these characters have such great modeling, such great textures on them. You want the detail of the environment to at least follow that. So there's that kind of level of progression of tiny shapes to medium shapes to larger shapes.
But I think what's so cool about thinking about it this way, and actually I think going back to what you talked about with taste and like a vision for what we want to see, I think that this actually sends me back and makes me feel that nostalgia that I want in these games, which is because it's like, so I have a 1080p television right now, and when I go to my friends' houses and they have a 4K TV, sometimes I'm kind of like, why does this look worse? Do you know what I mean? And it objectively doesn't, but what it is it's really focusing in on the element that I want to be most engaged with. And so for a hero collector, it's kind of like that constraint is making it, I think it's making things look way better. Like, we're ending up with stuff where I'm like, this actually looks better than if we were able to just like put all these different, all this craziness, all the, and then with the lighting, obviously we do have a lighting engine, but it's not as robust as Unreal. But then okay, well, that just means I have to do better on the base model. I have to do better on the which is, I don't know, man. I think that like the constraints have actually made things better in some ways. I don't know. Do you agree?
If you lean into them, yeah. I mean, not even lean into them. If you you are not going to get to hyper realism, like not with that Unity's URP, not with 250,000 polys. You're not going to get to hyper real.
No.
So you're making a concession, and most people, a lot of games would just go, well, then it needs to be really stylized. And so you go anime, or you go cartoony, or you put a shader on to kind of like hide. What I like about what Godforge is doing, and I really feel like the character models are just a great and kind of great example of it, is it's the right amount of detail, it's the right amount of stylization. It's going, okay, we can do this, we can't do that. Obviously, there's areas that will continue to get polish. For example, hair. We'll get there. It's the fur coats. They're just, the berserker. It just,
I know, but Borth is on it. Borth is on it. He knows.
He's on it. But I think for the most part, there's all of the artists involved, the shaders, the textures, everything has a slight stylization without going too far. It's really threading a needle in a really good way. And so when I come in and I light it, knowing that this is the limitation, this is what it is, this is what it should look like, this is where your focus should be. And people a lot of times just want to, well, it's built, so we light it, and that's not how it works. It's like you want areas of brightness, you want areas of darkness, you want shade and shadow, you want to form, you want to basically use the light to kind of model the forms, pools of darkness. It was a piece a little cinematic piece we did a million years ago. And we had this, it was just a ship's cabin. And we had just this person one of the artists had just decked this out with stacks of books and candles and desks and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, but I wanted to like the door to open, and you see the silhouette on the floor of a character, very kind of Old West style. And when we did that, what you ended up with was these little silhouettes of stacks of books, and like everything receded into shadows in the corner. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. Like if you get the sense of the detail and the depth, but you're not trying to light it like it's detail and depth. You're trying to like actually just let the person viewing it have a little more kind of interactive experience with this.
But your focus is really centered, right?
The focus is what your focus should be, but let light and dark, let shadows do things, let silhouettes do things. So yeah, lighting is one of those things that it's super fun. Again, like I have a lot of fun with it. It's been really fun playing with that. Yeah. Hey, this is Jerry O'Flaherty. This is a quick video of me doing some cameras for the boss Fafnir in the upcoming game Godforge from Fateless Games. Just wanted to show a little quick BTS of my process. In this case, I'm laying cameras in from an animation that was already complete. And the way I approach cameras is very much like coverage. So I had my front facing. This is a follow cam, kind of your over the shoulder. If I was a camera operator, this is a drone or some kind of flying device. And I like to make it feel like it was actually captured by an operator of some kind. So in that way you get a little bit of the organic vibe of someone live actually working the camera. And this is my final view, which is side. What I'm really doing is just getting broad brushstroke coverage in place. Not worried about FOVs or anything else right now. I'm just staying wide. I'll do some punch ins and some FOV changes as we get into the edit, which is what I do next. So this is the edit, and I just go through, and even as I was creating the cameras, I already knew I wanted to cut on the wing flaps. I thought that was a good motivator. So as the wing flaps close to camera, especially like in this case, it's a nice motivator to then cut. The feet hitting the ground is another great place to motivate cuts. Once I have an edit I like, this is where I go back through and I refine the cameras. Adding roll, in-camera shakes, any lens changes, making every edit in this 11-second boss intro as impactful as possible.
What's been like so when you first came in, the focus was cameras, right? And a lot of it was, I mean, it still is obviously, but sitting down with John Sties, our CTO, who's been really building out that system, that timeline system for us. So what was like between that and then kind of your work after, using the timeline, and then now your work kind of like on roster and lighting. What's been like the most fun for you, I guess? What's been the most fun little project?
It's all fun. It's all fun.
More easily, right? I imagine, right?
I mean, no, each one is its own challenge, because it's like, I think if there's a downfall, if I have a weakness, it's that I don't really enjoy rinse and repeat. I don't like doing the same thing over and over and over again. Nobody really does, but I love the unknown. I like hey, how are we even going to do this? And so working with John was awesome. And it actually reminded me of when we were first building what was called Matinee at the time, but like has become Sequencer, but Matinee and Unreal Engine. We just needed a tool to make cameras and cinematics. And James Golding was that guy on the team who was just, I'd steal time from him to like, hey, and John's exactly the same. It's like, John, we need this thing. And then he'd be like, oh, you don't need it. You can do this other way. All right, I did it.
I did it, and I actually added 3 extra features I thought you might like.
That's what I love about John, actually, as well. Like, I come away from a meeting, he's like, I've just got too much on. There's no way I'm going to be able to do those things. And then, like, the next session, I see people using those things, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think we were going to get that done.
Yeah,
so cool, actually. Yeah,
it's been interesting, because I think, the organic way that the timeline, the way the camera system has been built is really fascinating, because I think I would say, had I been involved from the beginning, there's a version of the system that's used right now. I don't know what we want to call the procedural, the cameras that blend between each other. I would have just said, hell fucking no, let's never do that. Like, but I think the genius of that system is the ability for it to expand and move in so many different ways. The way John has built it, the way Dirk has implemented it, as a kind of base system that just sits underneath and does just all the really heavy lifting for a lot of the work. It's really pretty genius. And then being able to come in and do keyframed fun cameras after, kind of on top of that, you get the best of both worlds. So it's hats off to John and Dirk and the. I still can't believe they do what they do. The sheer number, just for
Number of clicks.
folks listening, I don't even know how to describe this. A lot of the cameras in here are at distinct positions. They are cameras that sit in a particular space, and Dirk has a timeline at which he blends between these cameras during the move. So when a character runs towards another towards another enemy, for example, we don't know which enemy it's going to be, and we don't know how far he's going to have to run. So the camera has to be attached to the character, and there's multiple cameras attached to the character that we can blend between or cut between. So no matter where the character is going or where he is, these cameras just work. They're always going to be focused on him or focused on and so just that character-centric camera, then you have arena-centric cameras, then you have enemy-centric cameras. And when a boss comes in, he has a whole set of cameras that take over for the character. Like, there's the stacks on stacks, but it really works in such a incredible way. And this is why the other day yesterday's stand-up call, or one of the camera call, and I was just like, this is what people who are saying they can build a game in AI don't understand, is the sheer number of underlying systems. And but what about this case? And what about if we want to do that?
Yeah.
Like, the number of ways that you can break just basic systems with one particular choice you want to make. And so that, to me, like, this is the fun part. The fun part is, how do we do that and this and that? And how do we create systems that work for those? Yeah, you're going to always have edge cases, but like, I think that's probably the best way to say this is, I love all of it because all of it's a challenge, and all of it is a mixture of a technical challenge that is partly the engine, partly just polygons and what you want to do. And then there's the artistic challenge of trying to, like, okay, but it still needs to look great, and we still want to do this other thing. So how do we just do that dance? And that's been game development forever, and it's freaking amazing. I love it.
Yeah, well, I would love to talk to you about some of the things that you've done in the past as well, Joey, because I know you've worked on like insane projects.
He's pretty new to the industry, but
But the thing with it is that I feel like what you've really done in those different projects is you always look to try and break the mold. So it's like, this is the normal way that people would do things, but actually you're just kind of like, how do I just do something that no one's really ever seen before? And wow, this new audience or this new community or whatever it is. I guess, what's been one of your favorite experiences in terms of projects?
Wait, don't want to pick. Tell me about Gears of War. Tell me about Gears of War. I want to hear about Gears of War, because I think this is so cool.
But yes, that's probably, of all the projects I've ever worked on, it sits favorite amongst them, because I think it was an inflection point in the game industry. We were moving into normal maps, which just completely revolutionized the way visuals are presented.
Yeah.
Unreal Engine 3 was in development, so I came aboard Epic at the early days to help. They'd already Gears of War was going to be a vehicle combat game, and so it got rebooted. Basically, that concept was used in Unreal Tournament 2004.
Okay. Yeah.
So the kind of vehicle arena combat, and then so Gears of War got rebooted as this third-person actioner. So from the start, it was just one of those projects that it was a tiny team. I think when I joined Epic, there was a little sub company they had formed, and they kind of blended us in. If I recall, there were maybe 25 of us.
Wow.
Epic proper hadn't shipped a product in 10 years. They had used Digital Extremes, they had used like other vendors. So it was one of those things where they hadn't really like done that in a long freaking time. And you know, again, for this may get my memory of it is Gears of War was a tech demo that became a huge fucking successful game. So there was a point up until maybe a year, I'm going to call it a year before we shipped, 8 months before we shipped. It just needs to look great. We were already licensing the hell out of the engine. It's a tech demo. It just needs to,
It's the
it
tech
needs to be good
demo.
enough. But then like it started to get really fun, and then we showed up at E3, and those guys pulled a rabbit out of the hat with the multiplayer, and we won, you know, game of show. The multiplayer was just like nothing, and suddenly we became a Gears of War studio, which was a really just a flip overnight. But Gears of War's development was just one of those fun things where, because it was a tech demo and it needed to look great, we got a lot of leverage and a lot of leeway on the art side to just keep pushing and pushing and pushing in all the different areas. In a weird way, the entire studio was built around the idea of, if somebody's already done that, how do we do this in a really cool new way that shows off the technology? And it was the first time, you know, best way to describe kind of my history is I was in film school. I was majoring in film, minoring in art. But at the same time, I was starting a game studio. I literally was going to night school to try to finish college while I employed 7 people at a game studio that I was the art director at.
Wow.
And it was just one. So that was like, that's that overlap of the film school kid who's just making games because I'd been doing it for free up to then. And then suddenly it was like somebody wanted to pay me to and I could co-found a studio. So that's been my history, has always been this overlap of games and kind of film language and knowledge. And so Gears of War was that moment in time where it all came together in just a perfect way. It was we built a system to do real-time color correction and color grading, so that, and I know, you know, now in retrospect, it's very muddy. It was very of its time. But you got to remember, Unreal Tournament was every color under the freaking sun is used in Unreal Tournament. So for the Unreal Tournament guys to go do Gears of War, which is muted, almost monochromatic, you know, I almost until the final, like I wanted to use, I think, one color. The UI was black and white. Like I didn't want to use color. I was like, let's keep, to your point, Simon. It's like, how do we not do the things that everyone else is doing?
Yeah.
How can we communicate that without using all the kind of clutches that other people that we've been using forever? So we had real-time color corrections that you got this kind of moody sense. Motion captured cameras. When you played the original Gears of War, it's the motion capture of me running across the stage with a camera. And we did idles and we did the roadie run.
Cool.
And then I rendered
brilliant.
out, you know, just on a gray background, you know, that motion behind Marcus. And that's what ended up going into the game.
It's one of the most satisfying parts of that game, obviously. I mean, no,
awesome.
seriously. I remember viscerally the first time, or the first 10 times maybe, that I kind of did that like run, like thump kind of like feeling. It's, I don't know, like that's why when I remember when you know, when Mark was because Mark, again, in that conversation, he's like, yeah, just talk to Jerry. We're like, who's Jerry? But okay, let's talk to Jerry, right? And then we kind of started digging into it, and you know, we started to understand like all the like really interesting things that you had done, and kind of like the way you thought about things, and like, man, it's just but yeah, so going back to, so you've got an Emmy behind you. You know, I'd love to talk a little bit about that at some point, but I still think, for me, my favorite thing that I've heard you talk about doing was it literally is that, like, that run and that thump. There's just something so, I don't know why it's so can you speak to why it's so satisfying? Is it just visceral? Like, what, like, why is it so
well,
cool?
because it's not just, it's the camera motion mixed with the character going into cover and like busting into cover in that way. Funny story is, in our offices we had an FBI agent. The FBI agents were 2 floors above us.
Oh, okay.
Right.
It was and then there were bankers and financial people. Like, riding in the elevator every morning was really funny. But we were just like, well, these guys are military guys, right? So we had one of them come down and we put him in the motion capture suit, and we built this plexiglass barrier to get that kind of like that going into cover motion. He broke that thing, just shattered. Like it was like he went into that thing so hard. I don't know if that's I mean, obviously all the motions got manipulated after the fact, but to me it was the funny thing about the Space Marine, the big huge lunking dudes, is when I joined the project, the enemy was already built. They had already built the bad guy, and then we had these little Vietnam era soldiers that were supposed to fight him, and I was like, I want to play the bad guy. I don't want to play that guy. And so I was like, so the goal is make me want to play the hero. So
Yeah.
he needs to be beefy and badass. And so once we did that, once we kind of approached these guys need to feel heavy and all of that stuff, that started to blend down into every single choice we made, including the animations and the camera style. And I think the docu camera style, that was kind of our approach. A lot of the early cinematics, they've redone them since in the redos and the reloaded, but a lot of those early the cut scenes were filmed in a docu way. It was as if there was a embedded documentary filmmaker with the crew. Like
That's
I did
awesome.
single
Yeah.
camera, you'd walk and you
Again,
turn.
very satisfying. It's like one of my
Yeah, I
favorite
mean,
things.
so it kind of like the idea was, again, speaking to can we blend in and out? I don't want cinematics. We want to literally, you drive the guy into the room, and then the camera moves and it's a cinematic, and suddenly you've got control again. And it's the kind of thing that's become like, just you're used to it now as a gamer, but at the time, cutscenes were cutscenes. It was just
Right.
very
It's like stop
hardcore.
loading, characters look completely different,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and then this was just like you said, it's so immersive. You're in
There was
there.
one of the first pieces we did for one of the Microsoft shows at the time. It was Marcus's face got redone 6 months before. That's a whole other story. So there's an old version of Marcus out there, and he's walking, and it was setting up kind of my voyeuristic camera style, that if we weren't going to be docu, we were going to like look through the burned out car fuselage to the characters walking.
Yeah.
But we did this little piece, and it was our first gameplay that we showed. And so you have these cameras and then the character, and I walked the camera around behind the character, and then you got control. And it was like, it blew people's minds. They were like, wait, what? This is the game? Because it's
so
like
cool.
it showed,
Yeah.
it's all real time. This is all real time. The engine is doing it. Yeah, it was. So for me, the technical challenges of pulling it off, and the engine is literally being built while we're doing the thing. You can talk to lots of other vendors at the time who licensed the engine, who went through absolute hell, because we were building it for us. If you happen to license it, and we changed big systems, rendering engine, for example.
Sorry, bud.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Obviously, those things have changed, but
no, but I mean, it's one of the things I do respect about Unreal, about Epic, is at the time, it was always if we're going to make an engine, we need to build games, because we need to understand how to do it. And so for me, like that, the kind of the tech born of actually doing the thing, it was, Unreal was always built. I don't want to get off on the Unreal thing, but it was always built very artist friendly. And I would say that Unity reminds me a little more of Maya. It can do a lot. It doesn't make it easy. It's a little more, it's just a little more, you have to learn. And I'm 20 years in Unreal, so maybe people fresh to Unreal find it very frustrating.
No. You're right. You're right. Everyone I've talked to that uses both says. But
for me, the trick is, okay, this is the brush I get to paint with. Figure out how to make the right picture. Like that's that's in the end, that's what we're after. It doesn't matter.
So talk us through then the Emmy and the experience with the sort of worlds. And I don't even know where you could have started with the image in your head of what this was going to be, and that to me is probably one of the most mind-blowing things, because it's so different from what I've seen in any other worlds. Firstly, for League of Legends, but
Even
also
since, right?
just
Yeah.
gaming, just gaming in an essence. Like, yeah, just talk us through, like, where did this sort of vision of what this could become come from, and yeah, and how did you even make it happen?
So the making it happen part is me. The vision for it is the amazing team at Riot who were putting on. There was a team at Riot team. There were groups of people at Riot who would come together for Worlds to put on the show, and it had been progressing up to that point. But Justin Restaino and well, he's the guy I worked with mostly, but there were a couple of other folks who had the idea. They were like, what if we took the dragon and brought it into World somehow? How the hell would we even do this? And so at Riot at the time, I'd already become this guy that I was a part of the R&D group. I was brought in to help figure out how to do cinematics. We used lots of different tools just to try to find something that would be a cool style. But basically it was if you had a weird idea, go to Jerry and he'll point you in the right direction, or he'll just help you do it.
Or just do it, basically, is probably half the time, right?
So they came to me, and I had just left the cinematic group. I was helping do a little VR initiative, and they came to me and they were like, hey, we have this weird idea for Worlds. Is there a way we can have dragons show up? Like, even if it just flies around in the air above the arena? And I was like, yeah, of course. That's easy. No problem. Because I mean, at the time, it was like, that didn't seem difficult. It didn't seem weird. I knew that I'd been putzing around on the side. Unreal had the ability to merge live action. I mean, they've been putzing around, playing around with some green screen stuff. And and then Justin showed me a couple of the companies that were already out there doing this kind of work, where they were broadcast media mixing the two. And in broadcast, there's a rendering engine called VizRT that up to probably recently, almost every company used. And it was I swear to God, they must have been born out of Chiron, if you know where Chiron is.
Oh, shit.
It was just enough rendering to get the job done.
Right.
But really the back end of it, and I sat in one of the booths, and we'll get back to Dragon, but these people are having to like manipulate all this data. If you watch a sport program, all of the stuff that's coming up on screen, people are having to like program that into the graphics. There's a whole freaking truck out there of people. And so the VizRT was built to do that, which is, how do we display stuff on the screen, graphics on the screen, get you information, loads of information. Whereas Unreal, it's built to render cool shit.
Yeah.
So they were like, hey, can we do this? Hell yeah, of course we can. So they were like, all right, great. We hired a group, Passion Republic, to build the dragon. So I art directed that. They wanted it to look, like just the gamified, slightly up-res version of what was in game. And then with the idea, and I was like, it has to do more than just fly around the stadium. It needs to land, it needs to come in. So we kind of like, we scope creeped what it could do.
Yes.
And everyone was like, really? This seems pretty aggressive. Are we going to be able to do it? And then I took the animation in, and at that point, it was still they weren't sure where it was going to fit into ceremony, because it was still a little sketchy. Nobody's ever done this before. We're not sure it's going to work. So I took the model, and I brought it in. The animation was, and I just did a quick rough of what the camera should look like. I was like, if you're going to do this, it can't be, these kind of cameras. It can't just be a lock off, which other people were doing. These lock off is freaking safe, because everything's just going to line up. It's like, it needs to look like an operator is like shocked that dragon is there, and like zooms in, like, holy shit, it's a dragon. So I did a couple of different cameras, and they went and presented that to everybody in the leadership position. And out of that came the, holy fuck, not only are we doing this, it's going to have like this key spot. Are you sure we can really do this? So it went from, we don't know where to put it, to,
this is happening, right?
Holy shit, you guys better pull this off, because we're giving you the key position. So then it was just this pylon, and I have this a video. I don't know if it's ever been posted, but we went and did a little practice run in the parking lot across the street. where the dragon flies over
Ah,
Riot,
nice, man.
lands
No, we
in,
should see that.
lands in the parking lot. And then when we got there, again, like I guess I'm a little like, for me, the technical part of the challenge was just making sure that artistically it got done right. The parking lot, I was like, yeah, of course it works. I don't know why everyone's freaking out about this. It just seems so straightforward. Then we get to Beijing, and we're there and we do our first rehearsal. And the way the shows work is you're there for a week, and it's a lot of build, and it's early rehearsals, tech rehearsals, just people getting shit set up. And we did our first rehearsal with the dragon. And I remember walking out of the truck afterwards, and some of the folks from producers and camera ops came in, and they came by and they were just like, holy fuck, what the fuck are you guys doing? This is insane. And that was my first inkling to, oh, these people do this all the time. This is all they do. They show up at sport, they show up at these kinds of events. The fact that they're freaking out means this is definitely beyond what's been done.
We've pushed, we've nudged, right?
So then I was just like, oh dear God, don't look, I can't fuck it up. And that was it. It was just, we just kept going. And I got to say, it was probably one of those, if you search for dopamine hits in this industry, and it happened a couple times where you just get this fucking huge wave. When that thing exited the stadium and we had done it, holy shit. It was like one of the best fucking feelings ever. You do this long enough, you're just like, I'm never going to feel that again. And I felt it again. It was like, oh my God, there's still fun challenges out here. This is amazing. It was pretty incredible. We did KDA the next year. And then
another amazing one.
Yeah, it was fun. It was, every one of them was a challenge. We learned. We tried to do KDA again in 2020 in the middle of COVID, and it was a disaster for a lot of weird technical reasons. It was unfortunate because the models were the best we'd ever had them, but for some underlying vendor technical reasons, it just completely didn't work. But yeah, it was a huge fun experience. But I would have to say that like the idea came from the team, the execution. I think I was as shocked as you guys were that it actually worked. Like, not that it worked, but like once it was there and it was working, and then the next day, I think it was Kotaku was like, holy shit, League had a dragon. It was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But winning the Emmy, cool. When we got told we were nominated, I was like, what? That's insane. All right, well, at least I can say I'm an Emmy nominated person now. And then we won. I was like, you're fucking kidding me. You're joking, right?
Did you get to suit up at least? Did you suit up and did you go?
No. I wasn't there because we didn't think we would win. And the producers,
like, whatever, dude. Yeah, we'll see you guys later.
I mean, that team, I think by the time all is said and done, most of the members of that team probably had 3 or 4 of those. It was Riot pushed the bar so far, and then that team just kept chasing it. In lots of fun technical ways. It was an amazing group to be a part of, amazing experience. I'm happy to have won.
It's extremely cool. It's extremely cool. And the thing is, I think when you get an award like that you can literally just point someone to the direction of this is what it was for, and obviously then talk through how groundbreaking it was. But having something where you can just be like, look, I can show you how I won it, and what our team did. I think it's just super awesome. It's just such a cool thing to be able to
like if there's ever an argument about like who's cooler, set a better career, you just kind of go like scoreboard, and they're like, man, all right, fine.
Yeah, I wish so I'm in Los Angeles where I have to caveat, well, it's a sports Emmy. Like, this is a town where he's like, you won an Emmy? Okay. It's not a real Emmy. I'm sorry, I didn't win it for a TV show.
A TV show or a movie or whatever. Yeah.
Susan's constantly like, don't do that. You want a fucking Emmy. Don't worry about it. I go, why are you making it sound like it's not a big deal?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Deal. I mean, like, again, when you talk through this story and you talk through, like, I can only really imagine, because I mean, where were you when it was finishing? Like, were you like close to the stage? Like, what were you doing in the moments when it was happening?
You're in a broadcast truck, so there's there's broadcast.
So you're out in the truck. You didn't even get to like get that swell of like, I'm sure, because the crowd, I'm sure, went fucking nuts, right?
No, I mean, I went in afterwards. Like we immediately went in afterwards, but you know, we're in the truck where the two rendering, I think there were two rendering engines. We had two cameras. There were two basically synced rendering engines sitting there going for the two different cameras, and we're in there just watching all these monitors going, please don't break, please don't break.
Please don't break. No errors, no
Um,
errors, no errors.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. It's just it's you're in there, and then the moment it finished, we walked into the stadium. But yeah, it was I for a couple of the rehearsals, I went in to watch it, like how folks, because obviously it's broadcast AR, so you if you're in the arena, you don't see anything, you see it on the big screen.
Yeah.
But you know what I always said is that most of the world's broadcasts, there's maybe 30, 40,000 people in the stands, but there's millions of
Millions,
people.
yeah.
I think in the
Yeah.
case of it was freaking ridiculous the number of people who watch live those broadcasts. So for us, it was always a mixture of be true to an authentic performance in the arena, but know that the bulk of your people are going to be watching.
It's really about it's on average, like you said, 30,000 versus millions is a
Yeah.
it's a pretty large contrast.
It was exciting. Look, I mean, it was a blast to do. I think there were, you know, if I would say there was a third thing in my career so far that just was like crazy, exciting, amazing, and less about groundbreaking, but just getting to direct the Linkin Park, co-direct the Linkin Park music video. It was
Oh,
just one
cool.
of those.
Another
There was
one.
a moment in time, and you know, it was we'd already done a couple of things with Linkin Park, but it was just one of those very special. Like there's just there's a lot of projects you work on that are cool for various reasons, and then there are projects that are just special because every single person working on them it just is right. It just is amazing. And I think that's coming all the way back around. It's why I'm attracted to working with you guys is I keep early on, I kept looking for a reason not to, a reason to walk away, or somebody who's on the team who's just going to be a fucking asshole, whatever it is. And like, the team is amazing. Everybody is in this in such a great way, such an authentic way, such a like excited to be there. I love the scrappiness of it. Like it, again, to your point, Simon, it kind of reminds me of back in the day before teams swelled to a point where, you know, people in a leadership position, our director, I didn't touch anything. You know, I like touching things. I don't, you know, it's like, I mean, I can work Linkin Park. I was on Linkin Park working with Digital Domain at Digital Domain as a $4 million music video. They're a huge CG pipeline. So I don't get to touch anything. All I'm doing is talking to the CG soup and a couple of other, you know, leaders. And then I'm reviewing shots as a director. But then I was going home at night and working on a Hucken trailer where I was doing like all the compositing, building shit in Unreal. I mean,
Yeah.
it was super scrappy, zero budget. And so for me, like that duality, or just that, I like all of it. I love spending other people's money and doing amazing fucking things, but I really like getting my hands dirty too. So like, I'm happy to live in all those spaces. But I think fundamentally, if I was to choose one, I like this. I like being a little scrappier. I like being hands-on. I like getting to be an artist and work with people and solve problems in a really fun way, and be on the ground enough to actually solve the problems in a real way, not just talk about it.
I think you solve the problems, but you get really first-hand feedback and reactions from people. Not just feedback, but also that kind of one of the things that I said to Sham and to Mike actually whilst we was going through the cinematic build was I really want people to feel emotion when they're watching the cinematic, and then that's one of the things I really got from, you know, the League of Legends cinematics, all of the season starters, that type of stuff. Also, some of the old World of Warcraft stuff, their cinematics. It was like I felt something whilst I'm watching them, and that is really important to me. And I feel the same sort of thing, you know, when you're just doing your magic on cameras and that type of stuff. Like for me, I'm like, yes, this is now it's moving in the way we want it to move, and you know, whether it's a sense of pride or just like excitement or whatever it is, I want to share this with someone else. That's that for me is what's brilliant about, being in this type of business and having people that really care about what they're doing. It becomes infectious. We have our kind of full team meeting where everyone's kind of sharing all the cool shit that we've been doing for the last month. And it's just like one of my favorite couple of hours of the month where I'm just like, yeah, everyone just unload.
Keep dumping it. Keep
let's
see
proud
it.
of. Like, it's all the stuff they're really proud of. And everyone else in the room is like, wow, I didn't realize you guys were doing that. It's just like a great vibe to it. So yeah, man, it's cool. It's really cool to have you on the team. Like, I can't express it enough. It's very cool.
It's like beyond humbling, honestly. Like the team we've kind of put together. Like, but I think to your point, Simon, and to your point, Jerry. I mean, so much of it really is us spending the time and really saying, like, does this make sense as a group? Can we work together? Like, are we gonna vibe well? Right? Are we gonna be able to get these things done? Because at the end of the day, that is what makes it so that you're so passionate about what you're doing. Why we spend 14, 18-hour days sometimes just like cranking, because it doesn't feel like work. It's just like we're having fun, we're hanging out, we're talking shop, we're showing off all the fun things, all the impressive things that we've made. And I mean, you are probably the most, not just saying this, but probably the most impressive artist I've ever met. Because like I said, you kind of have this, you come in with a really cool head about how things are going to get done, and that's really important for execution. But then you've got that kind of like that hot vision, in a sense, of like, well, what if we did this? That kind of, what I mean?
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes people typically have one or the other, where they can come in and they can be like, look at how cool this would be. Awesome. Can you do that for me? You know what I mean? Like, whereas you're just like, here's a vision. Oh yeah. And I'm going to do it. And
yeah. I'll stub something in by tomorrow.
By
and
tomorrow, right? We're like,
and you're like,
what?
Is this a stubbing or is this the real thing? Like, it's yeah,
the stubbing.
Yeah.
Should we do like a little bit of a lightning round at the end? I think I want to ask a couple of like fun questions, and then we should ask obviously our most fun question. All right, so I'm gonna start. I'll start with a big one. What is your favorite company, aside from Fateless, of course, that you've worked at?
Epic.
Okay. What is who did you have the most fun collaborating with? An individual person. You can shout them out.
Wow. I've worked with a lot of amazing people. He gets a lot of shit, but I really loved working with Cliff Blazinski. He was an idea machine and just really infectiously joyous. I really liked working with him. Yeah.
What is the character in Godforge you've had the most fun messing around with, doing a camera, whatever? Heimdall, easy.
Oh my God. Like that's why he appeared in I put him in. I went to do his abilities, the cameras on his abilities. And I just was like, from his character, but the animations as well, there's just like a flourish that is put into his character.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is gonna be fun to do the camera. I fell in love. Heimdall.
Okay. And then obviously, the most important question: if you were gonna put in a god, myth, or legend that is not in the game right now, who would it be?
Oh my God.
And it can be a theme if you can't think of a specific character that you're really interested in.
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that. Yeah.
We'll have to have you back and you can answer at that point.
All right, there you
go. It'll make it easy. But yeah, I don't know if you guys, I have about 20 more questions. I feel like I'm hogging the chat. Anyone have quick questions for Jerry? He's on the spot. He's got to answer.
I suck at lightning rounds. I'm sorry. I'm completely dry of anything.
I would say probably the first game I went try hard on was Unreal Tournament 99. Like the first game that I wanted to be like better than all my friends, and I'm actually like practicing. Did you come along a little bit after that?
Yeah, I was after that.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What's your favorite games to play, Jerry? If you're
So I have a favorite game. So here's what's weird. I don't finish games. I'm terrible. And TV shows are the same way. Like I will get in, I'll start to play. I think I can count maybe 2 or 3, maybe 5 games, but definitely there are 2 games in recent memory that I've actually finished. And they're they're as opposite as they could absolutely be. One is Plants vs. Zombies. I freaking
Okay.
loved it. I played the hell out of it all the way through. I was so sad when I got to the end. And Remedy's Control, which I have now
Oh.
played through 3 times.
I don't even know what that one
Whoa,
is.
you don't finish games. You played this game 3 times. Holy shit.
3 times.
So what is it? What's the magic?
The ability progression in that game is just freaking magical. Like, it's not, it's one of those things where it's really executed well across the board for me. But the ability progression from, it reminded me of the experience of the first time you watched The Matrix. The Matrix,
yeah.
when you walk into it as Neo, he's an every dude. You get to the end and you walk out. I walked out of the theater watching The Matrix the first time, and I felt like I could stop bullets. Like, it was just like that journey of every man to Superman is just so freaking amazing. And for me, Control over a 30, 40 hour experience did almost the same thing, which
Right.
was you go in, you've got a weapon, and you can do telekinesis, and the telekinesis, you start like ramping up that ability,
Yeah.
and then you can fly, and once you're flying and you're throwing, like, it was just one of those where they'd add the new, but they'd add new challenges, and it was just, by the time you got to the end, it's just this furious, holy, crazy. It's kind of like the thing I hate about roguelikes or roguelites. I don't like playing the same thing over and over again. I don't like permadeath. It's like I'm a little more casual that way, a casual gamer. But what Control did so well is it made it easy. And then by the time you get to the end, it's freaking hard. I had to play the last level. Probably, I was just like, I don't know if I'm ever going to finish this, but I was so determined. So that ramp of ability to conflict across everything was just so dialed in that I've come back to it 3 times.
Wow.
That's
That's
awesome.
nuts, man.
Just talking about your experience there with Matrix. I mean, that film. So I had no idea really what I was going in to watch.
Same.
And the opening scene, I remember watching it in the cinemas. It's probably the moment of watching film that would stick with me forever. That opening sequence with like Trinity taking on all the cops and stuff. And I'm just like blown away by what I'm seeing, but I've got no idea what's going on.
Like,
I'm literally like,
what is
what's going
happening?
on, mate? It was brilliant. Like, it was just such an iconic moment for me. And yeah, like I say, that doesn't really come along obviously very often, where you're really just kind of like blown away by a moment. But yeah, Matrix for me is
I'm gonna have to try
film I've ever
Control.
watched.
I haven't
someone.
played it, so I'm gonna.
My cat's name is Neo.
Oh my God, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dodging
Matrix.
bullets.
It was, yeah, and I think it's funny because it's probably, if we were to all talk about it, it's why the sequels never lived up to expectations. Is
Yeah.
once you're Superman, where do you go from there? It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
I-
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what happens,
really
yeah.
only anime can do that.
That's true.
It feels like it's like, okay, but now Goku can do this, and you're like, all right, what?
Yeah.
All right, well, so like I feel like we want to make sure that we respect our time. I know we've almost been going for an hour. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to kind of talk through. There's a million other questions, honestly, I want to ask, but yeah, let's wind it down and like save some for the next one, because
Sure.
you do need an answer. You do need an answer for that question. It's an important question.
I
who
will
are we gonna
think
bring
on
in?
that question.
Great.
Yeah, Jerry, this has been a blast. Thanks for hopping in and sharing all these stories, and it's amazing to have you as part of the team here with Fateless helping out. And Simon, Sham, been a blast to hang out with you as well. And thanks for watching. We'll have all the links you need down below to check out the Discord, give your input on everything going on here at Fateless, Godforge, all that good stuff. And we'll see you soon in the next Fateless podcast episode. Cheers.